Alright, so what I got everybody in here for today is to talk a little bit about a topic you guys are probably a little bit familiar with, whether it's something you learned in high school. It's the food pyramid. You either learned it in high school or grade school, where your kids came home one day from school and didn't want me to go for the third day in a row, so I said, Mom, this is not part of the food pyramid. What we don't know is probably a lot of the history about the food pyramid and how it started, so that's what we're going to talk about today. The first time the government actually started a federally regulated food guideline was in 1941, according to kidshealth.org. That is when the then President Franklin Roosevelt urged the Department of Agriculture to come up with the general guidelines for the American public. What they ended up coming up with was the Recommended Daily Allowances, or RDA. In 1943, President Roosevelt saw a need to expand on this a little bit, and that was to ease the burden of World War II and the food shortages. So they expanded on it, and then the U.S. Department of Agriculture came up with the Basic 7. The specific modification of the Basic 7 would enable us again to control the food rationing. Over the next several decades, the RDA underwent a lot of changes. According to health.learninginfo.org, the first graphic created to break down the food into different categories was created in 1988, and that was the Basic 5. It showed how a variety of different foods fit into the different categories. Its purpose was to convey three main ideas. 1, variety, 2, proportion, and 3, moderation. Based on information that I gathered off of life123.com, the shape of the food pyramid actually did not come about until 1992, and they did this more as a promotional campaign. It was to make people aware of the food guide, and for the first time the government actually required packaged food or prepackaged foods in the grocery stores to have the nutritional labels on it to make people understand the program a little easier, help them follow the food guide, the food pyramid as it was then called. The problem was that the food pyramid was confusing to most people, and according to a 1996 phone survey that was conducted by the Department of Agriculture, more than 40% of the people surveyed agreed with the following statement, and I quote, "There are so many recommendations about healthy ways to eat, it's hard to know what to believe." Even though people felt like this, ABC did a news broadcast that aired on November 21st, 2002, and it showed that the majority of Americans base their diets off of the food pyramid. And this is because they believed that they were staying healthy in doing so. So even though it was confusing, they were still trying to follow along and do what the government was recommending. There's also at this time there was a significant increase in the obesity rate among Americans, and it was discovered that a lot of the new health issues were related to our diet and our eating habits, such as heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and heart attack. So then the USDA decided that it was probably time to reevaluate the food pyramid. In 2005 they released a new version of the pyramid, and they now called it My Pyramid. What it did is it restructured it, and it added an additional food group, and it didn't really add a food group. What it did was separated fruits and vegetables into their own categories. Each category is now represented by a different color, and this was another promotional tactic that they have in their advertising slogans. What they said was, "Eat a rainbow every day." The different colors in their categories are as follows. Orange is used to represent the grains, greens for vegetables of course, red for fruit, yellow for fats and oils, blue for milk and dairy, and purple for the meat, beans, fish, and poultry. So a lot of the categories are still the same as before. Each of the categories are included because each one provides essential nutrients that are different from the other one for the human body. The direction of the food pyramid also changed. Before they had the different categories going horizontal, with the most important being at the bottom. Now each is given an equal portion of the pyramid, but it starts wide at the bottom and narrows to the top. The intention of this was to show that different proportions within each food group are important. The fattier, higher calorie foods are towards the top, and the healthier versions are at the bottom. A good example of this is in the fruits. Fresh apples would be at the bottom because they're lower in fat, and we can actually eat more of those in a day, where apple pie is still fruits and vegetables, but it's not as good for us, so that would be at the top. Another example would be we'd have milk at the bottom of the category and ice cream at the top. On the left side of the pyramid is a person climbing a flight of stairs. There's several different factors that they try to convey here. First, the steps represent exercise. They recommend now that exercise is an essential part of our daily diet and health. So they have that over there. They also represent changes to our diet. It should be made in gradual steps instead of one drastic change. So if you make several little steps, you'll be more successful at following the pyramid. The person on the stairs is used to represent each of us are individuals. For the first time in history, the USDA has now figured out that not two people require the same food guidelines. Example, diabetics are restricted diets and need special requirements. Seniors don't have the same daily vitamin requirements as does a child. Despite all the changes that they made, and for the better or worse, there are still some skeptics. One of the most notable critics is Dr. Walter C. Will. He's a Harvard Medical School professor, and in his book, Eat, Drink, and Be Healthy, his number one complaint is that even though it's broken down into different categories, it doesn't differentiate. For example, the new pyramid, my pyramid, recommends 11 servings of grains in a day. However, it doesn't differentiate between complex and simple carbohydrates, and it also doesn't distinguish between the different healthy and unhealthy oils. The Department of Agriculture also designed a website to help educate people about my pyramid. The website is free of charge. It's www.mypyramid.org. The website allows people to customize their own food pyramid by inputting different information about themselves, for instance, height, weight, sex, physical activity, and that kind of things. So, and different type of lifestyles that you lead. Another book that is used in conjunction with the new pyramid and myfoodpyramid.com, according to Mike Levitt, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, is A Healthier You. The book draws from the 2005 Dietary Guidelines for Americans and provides simple steps for healthy living, including nutrition and physical activity, according to Levitt. So I recommend or urge all of you guys to take a chance and go on to mypyramid.org, see the new requirements, maybe create a pyramid that's just for you. I think it's perfect time doing it since we have open enrollment coming up here in 2 weeks. It'll kind of give you guys some extra pointers. So thank you all for sitting here, and have a nice day.